you for being here. It's so important. So as we hear from our speakers today, I invite you to think about the ways you can take action within our community as friends, family members, community members. So thank you to everyone from all the different areas of life who's here. It's so important. So we'll hear from a few speakers over on this side in Auburn. And once the speakers are done, we're going to walk down and across the bridge over to Lewiston. So bringing the two communities together. And then open it up for others to speak. And we'll have the candlelight vigil over there. So first, I would like to invite up Elise Johansson, our Executive Director at Safe Voices. I'm the Executive Director of Safe Voices. We are the Domestic Violence Resource Center for Franklin, Oxford, and Androscoggin counties. And I'm really happy to see so many people here tonight. We have some of our incredible staff, we have some board members, we have great leaders from around the community, and I'm really honored to be here with all of you tonight. As Whitney said, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, or as we're calling it Action Month this year, is an opportunity for all of us around this world to pay attention to domestic violence and to find a way to collectively make it stop. And so I think that what I'm going to be doing tonight when we're walking from Auburn over to Lewiston is I'm going to think about different ways that I can contribute to the work to end domestic violence between now and next October. And I would love for all of us to be doing something similar. I think that there are ways that feel really simple, such as remembering our helpline number, which is 1-800-559-2927. If you could just remember that. And anytime you connect with someone who's experiencing domestic violence or just has questions because something is just not feeling that it's making a whole lot of sense, to be able to give them that number so they can connect with an advocate at any time, 24 hours a day. So think of things like that. Like I said, our helpline number, or helping us with our Adopt a Family or Feed a Family program, or coming to our 5K each year, or just being a listening ear for someone in your life. So again, think about this not just for Domestic Violence or Awareness Month or Action Month, but what you can do throughout the year as a community member who's engaged in helping end domestic violence. So thank you so much for being here tonight, and I look forward to walking with you later this evening. So next, we're going to hear from Andrew Robinson, the Attorney General for District 3, which covers Androscoggin, Franklin, and Oxford counties. So the counties that Safe Voices serves.
I always look forward to an evening like tonight, because to my mind, it's the night where a time where you get to lift up your head and look around you and look where we are. I think a lot of us, especially those of us that work in the criminal justice arena and those that work with the advocacy groups that work in our same in that same arena, we get bogged down day in and day out, trying to improve people's lives, trying to take one case and move it forward. But I remember back in 1999 when I was first hired as a domestic violence prosecutor, I was the beneficiary of years of work, of advocacy groups, and I was hired under a grant specifically for domestic violence. After I did my year as a domestic violence prosecutor, I moved up to Franklin County, and I was able to carry that knowledge with me and start working with different groups up there, and then ultimately return to Androscoggin County to be shocked at all of the progress. Today we have things in place that were unimaginable back in the mid-'80s, in the mid-'90s, and then when I came on board in 1999. Think about this. Today, when somebody gets arrested, we immediately are able to share information with Julie Hausman. Where's Julie? You know she's here. Who can take that information and help provide a safety plan immediately after the incident of domestic violence occurs. In 1999, that was unthinkable because all the information had limitations on it. But the advocacy groups got together and law enforcement got behind it, and we were able to make changes so we could start sharing information. Then turn on your TV and listen to what is coming across, the messages that are being sent from NFL players who get up and say domestic violence has to end, to leading public officials coming out and saying, not in our town, not in our communities. The environment, the change, every aspect of it gives me hope. And so when I'm talking to one of my assistant district attorneys, they're talking about a tough case or a tough decision they have to make, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, but we are so much farther ahead. And we can't identify all of the accomplishments, because if we're doing it right, we don't even know we did it, because those folks didn't suffer the harm. So I lift up my head and I look around and I see all the people who work so hard. I have gratitude, and I'm grateful, and I'm the beneficiary of all that hard work, and it is not lost on me. So anytime somebody calls me and says, can you come out and spend an evening with us to think about domestic violence, to have a vigil, I say, you name the date, you name the time, I'll be there. And I'm looking around and seeing people who made the same decision. So thank you for being here tonight. I look forward to walking across the bridge and listening to your story.
Who, when I asked how she wanted to be introduced, told me survivor and thriving, which is incredibly apropos. So, here's Melissa. Sorry I had to write stuff down, but I will speak loudly. Thank you all for being here. It's actually my oldest daughter's birthday. I can't think of a better venue for her to be here. I'm sure she could, but I'm happy to be here. So I wrote down some things in honor of this vigil. I remember a sweet and loving man who made me the center of his universe. I remember him asking me for my hand in marriage on the third date. I intuitively thought that was a bit fast and declined, but still thought it was sweet. I remember trusting him. I remember going to work only to be interrogated an hour before about who was looking at me and who was talking to me, and for hours after work about the same topic. At first I thought this was great. It meant he cared, right? I remember my sweet daughter, who was a bit over a year and a half old at the time, exhibiting issues of violence in daycare and at the babysitter's house. But I couldn't put the puzzle pieces together. I remember deciding to move to another state with this man and my children. Then, I remember feeling trapped. I remember feeling suicidal. I remember feeling like I had no one. No one. I was over 1,000 miles away from my family. I remember knowing that something was very wrong, and I remember being very sick and tired of being accused of things I wasn't doing. I remember having conversations with myself at night, saying, you've got to get out of here, he's killing you. I remember what this person told me now, you were stupid. You have children from different fathers, who else would want you? Then I remember the defining moment. After I had his child, after he put his hand around my throat while I was holding his child, and after I went to bed that evening, I woke up. Literally, I woke up at 3 a.m. to find that he disappeared with my car again. This was my third car in this relationship. Upon waking, I called my mom. She picked up, as she's always done before. As I tried to leave 3 times prior, she knew exactly what was going on. She said, Missy, he's going to do the same thing that he's done before. Get out. For your babies. And for my babies, when the shit hit the fan again, I called the cops. pregnant. And I cannot even begin to express the amount of relief I felt having people come into my home and remove this man from my home. I motioned for an order of protection. I very quickly learned the ways of justice in this process. The judge did not grant me an order of protection because he did not want my perpetrator to lose his job. However, the judge officially ordered my perp to stay away from me. Do you think that worked? Do you think it worked? No, it didn't. So I took off. And thank God I had a working car to do so. And thank God I had a family to run to far, far away. And thank God the law enforcement officers were on my side, because when I testified in court 7 months later, it was obvious he didn't leave me alone. Within those years, I struggled with PTSD, night terrors, single parenting stress, because imagine that he lost his job anyway and did not support his child. Within those years, we still don't know where he is because he's a coward. Only a coward would do something like this. Now I have the support of Safe Voices, my family, my community, and law enforcement, and he can't touch me. I'd really like to believe that. The opposite is always in the back of my mind. But the difference now is I refuse to live in fear. Please, please, please support your local agency. I heard a song today, and it reminded me of why I keep telling my story, and the lyrics go, you can be amazing. You can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast or be the backlash of somebody's lack of love. Or you can start speaking up. Speak up. Speak up for yourself. Speak up for others. I want to see you be brave. And remember, the people who did not have the resources before me stand here. And that's what this Vigil is for.
For the Immigrant Resource Center of Maine, and I'm happy also to announce that the Immigrant Resource Center of Maine is now a member of the Maine Coalition to End Domestic Violence. This is very exciting. All right, okay. We are here this evening to honor and commemorate a cause that is near and dear to all, if not most, of our hearts. Okay. We are here this evening to honor and commemorate a cause that is near and dear to most, if not all, of our hearts. Maybe you know somebody who's experienced domestic violence. A neighbor, a friend, somebody you love and cherish. You are here to show support for each of those people, even those that you may not even know. I cannot even begin trying to put myself in the shoes of somebody who's experienced or been through domestic violence. I cannot pretend to know what it's like. But I am up here in front of you all because I have a message. I have a message that I hope will resonate inside your soul and leave you feeling different than when you stepped in this place. I have a message that will speak to you like no one has ever spoken to you before and leave you feeling hopeful to look forward to living another day. I have a message that is for you, and for you. I want to remind everyone that we live in a world where bad things happen constantly. Things that make us feel hopeless and lost. I know that most of us here probably know what it feels like to have gone through difficult, different circumstances in our lives. The best advice I give to people is to always look forward and keep focused on a vision, even if it seems pointless. If you motivate yourself to keep determined, to keep going, to stand when you've been pushed down and knocked to the floor more times than you can even imagine or count. Because there's nothing that speaks louder than bravery and courage. And the ability to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going. Now, I know that all of this is so much more easier said than done, but when you have the love and support from a community such as this, where we're able to come out on a Monday evening for a Domestic Violence Action Month Vigil, and see this kind of turnout of people wanting to show their support, that in itself speaks volumes. We have to love one another, support one another, and be a community that other communities envy because of how much we show up for each other and for all the people in our communities for all the right reasons. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 13 says, "And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. And I deeply believe that if we have love, then we lack nothing." A very smart woman by the name of Jeanne McAlvany said,